Rishi Sunak, born May 12, 1980, is a British politician who has served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and leader of the Conservative Party since October 2022. Following the 2017 general election, Sunak was appointed to a junior ministerial position in Prime Minister Theresa May's second government as Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Local Government in the 2018 cabinet reshuffle. During the 2019 Conservative Party leadership election, Sunak supported Johnson's successful bid to succeed May as Conservative leader and Prime Minister, after which he appointed Sunak as Chief Secretary to the Treasury in July 2019. Following the 2019 general election, Johnson promoted Sunak to Chancellor of the Exchequer in the 2020 cabinet reshuffle after the resignation of Sajid Javid. During his time in the position, Sunak was prominent in the government's financial response to the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic impact, including the coronavirus job retention and Eat Out to Help Out schemes. Sunak resigned as Chancellor in July 2022 amid a government crisis that culminated in Johnson's resignation. Sunak stood in the July to September Conservative Party leadership election to succeed Johnson. After spending the duration of Truss's premiership on the backbenches, Sunak stood in the October 2022 Conservative Party leadership election to succeed Truss, who resigned amid another government crisis. He was elected unopposed as Conservative leader and appointed Prime Minister. On March 17, 2020, amid the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic impact, Sunak became prominent in the government's response. In July 2020, Sunak unveiled a plan for a further £30 billion of spending, which included a stamp duty holiday, a cut to value-added tax, VAT, for the hospitality sector, a job retention bonus for employers and the Eat Out to Help Out scheme, aimed at supporting and creating jobs in the hospitality industry. The purpose of the statement was to announce measures aimed at further helping to promote economic recovery following the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. In April 2022, amid the Partygate scandal, Sunak was issued a fixed penalty notice by the police, who found he had committed offences under COVID-19 regulations by attending a birthday party for Johnson on June 19, 2020. As the rising cost of living became an increasingly serious and worrying issue for the country, the UK government, including Sunak, intensified its efforts to respond to the crisis in May 2022, with a £5 billion windfall tax on energy companies to help fund a £15 billion support package for the public. The package included every household getting a £400 discount on energy bills, which would be in addition to a £150 council tax refund the government had already ordered. He cut fuel duty, removed VAT on energy-saving equipment, such as solar panels and insulation, and reduced national insurance payments for small businesses and, while continuing with a planned national insurance rise in April, he promised to align the primary threshold with the basic personal income allowance as of July. Following the resignations of Sunak and Javid, numerous junior ministers and among the Parliamentary Private Secretary, PPS, also resigned, most of whom cited a lack of honesty and integrity on the part of Johnson. In the following 24 hours, 36 MPs resigned from their roles in government. After a total of 62 resignations, Johnson announced on 7 July his intention to resign as Conservative leader and Prime Minister, but said he would remain Prime Minister until a new leader was in place. On 20 July, Sunak and Foreign Secretary Liz Truss emerged as the final two candidates in the contest on 20 July to be put forward to the membership for the final leadership vote. Jeremy Hunt remained as Chancellor, a role he was given during the Truss ministry after Kwasi Kwarteng was dismissed on 14 October. Dominic Raab was also reappointed Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary, a role he was given during the premiership of Boris Johnson. James Cleverly remained as Foreign Secretary, with Suella Braverman returning as Secretary of State for the Home Department, a role from which she had previously resigned during the Truss ministry. Ben Wallace remained as Secretary of State for Defence, a role from which he had previously during the Johnson and Truss ministries. Michael Gove returned as Levelling Up Secretary, a role he was sacked from by Johnson, and Grant Shapps was demoted from Home Secretary to Secretary of State for Business, Energy, and Industrial Strategy. Penny Mordaunt remained as Leader of the House of Commons and Lord President of the Council, roles from which she had during the Truss ministry. Other key appointments included Simon Hart as Parliamentary Secretary to the Treasury and Chief Whip of the House of Commons, Nadim Zahawi as Party Chairman, Oliver Dowden as Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Therese Coffey as Environment Secretary, Mel Stride as Work and Pensions Secretary and Mark Harper as Transport Secretary. In July 2022, during his run for the Conservative Party leadership, he called China the biggest long-term threat to the UK, adding that they torture, detain and indoctrinate their own people, including in Xinjiang and Hong Kong, in contravention of their human rights. Sunak described Saudi Arabia as a partner and ally, but said that the British government does not ignore human rights violations in Saudi Arabia. After meeting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during his first visit to Kyiv in November 2022, Sunak said, "I am proud of how the UK stood with Ukraine from the very beginning.